Hello, everyone. This hour on Verbling, the next in my Hot Topic series. Today's hot topic, the science of wrong. That's right. This week, we found methane on Mars, and the experts tell us that could mean evidence of life. But remember that other time we found life? Remember the time we found those 4-foot tall humans on the moon with copper hair and wings, living in sapphire pyramids with a fondness for cucumbers? You don't? Well, if you cannot recall this, it may be because it happened in 1835, or it could also be because it was completely wrong. So today we're going to find out a few examples of just how wrong can be in today's hot topic, the science of wrong. So that's what we're going to do. And first, a little bit about me. I'm John Eric, your Verbling teacher for this hour. I'm an American teacher from New York, hanging out in Lisbon, Portugal to bring you this class. By the way, here are 3 quick rules to help you participate. Don't forget to turn off, tune in, and open up. That means please turn off your microphone when you're not speaking so we can keep the classroom nice and quiet. Tune in to the new words that you're learning. Use them actively so that I can correct you and give you feedback. Finally, open up to your classmates. Relax and have fun. We're all here to learn, and this is a safe and respectful place to practice your English. And that is all you need to know about me. Let me share my screen with you so you can see this. There you go. What do you think about my aliens, Daniel? Do you like them?
Hello, sorry. Good morning.
Do you like my aliens?
Yes, it was a little bit old, no?
These are old?
From the 80s. Games from the 80s. Video games.
Those were the best aliens. Look at them. We've got a little squid alien kind of in the middle. You've got lots of children problem today.
Yes, he tried to get in.
Uh-oh. You've got your own aliens to deal with today.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm going to scroll down. The science of wrong. Did you hear about this? Did you read the news?
No. Your topic, usually I never hear about them.
Ah, good. So then I have a purpose after all.
I'm learning a lot.
Well, in the introduction, I said this week we found methane on Mars, and that wasn't the only thing that happened. Another thing that happened was something about the space probe that had been in hibernation for years, and then it turned back on to take pictures of, I think it was the moon of Jupiter. So I can't remember now what it was. But it was the first time we're going to have close-up pictures of an atmosphere. Maybe it was Europa. I can't remember. So in both of these cases, it kind of makes us think that we have some evidence for something happening out there. Did either one of you hear read the news about this, particularly the one about Mars? What about you, Tony? Where are you from, Tony?
Oh, yes, excuse me, I don't understand the question. I am from Spain, teacher.
Whereabouts in Spain, Tony?
In Valencia.
In Valencia.
I am from Valencia. Very good country. Very good country. Very pretty. You know Valencia?
No, I just know Barcelona.
Oh, is maybe the same. Is the same language, Catalan.
Oh yeah? Okay, very good. Yeah, I used to live in Barcelona for a little bit.
Yes. Speak Catalan is the same language.
I didn't know that actually. I've never been. Oh, actually, no. I've been near Valencia. I've been south a little bit, but not in Valencia. Well, I was just curious if any of you read that news about Mars. A year ago, they told us. You can see my little alien over there. That's my Martian on the left side. A year ago, scientists said that there was absolutely no evidence that anything organic existed on Mars. And then this week, they said that there is.
Uh,
Did you read about
sorry,
that, Igor?
sorry, I heard about it, but they said there were only a trace amount of methane in the atmosphere. So kind of.
Yeah, but why was there a trace amount? Because something's destroying it. So it gets like there's like a plume of methane gas coming from somewhere, and then something is like destroying it or mitigating it as it goes out in the atmosphere, which they can't understand either. There's some cycle, but before they had thought that there was nothing. So anyway, that just reminded me of another time about 150 years ago when we thought we found aliens. So
We were
I
there
thought,
when this was announced in
me, yes,
1835.
yes, I've been around forever. I was teaching on verbling in 1835. We had to use tin cans and wires, but we did it. Uh, take a look at this, everyone. Let's go down past the table of contents. Let's go down to the warm-up here on page 4. You can open this on your computer by clicking the link on the front page, or if you really want it, I'll put it here in the chat window for you as well. There you go. Anyway, so we're going to look at those images and talk about them, but first a question for all of you. Class, what do you think of when you think about life out there in the universe? Just going to mute you there for a second, whoever you are. Julio, just because you're getting some noise from your side. Okay, what do you think of when you think about life? So on Mars, we think we might have evidence of life, but what does that really mean? What comes to mind when you think about life possibly outside of the planet Earth? What comes to mind? Class.
Well, to me, what comes to mind is nobody even knows if life in the universe exists, like outside Earth, of course. We know that life on Earth is, so it
Right.
exists here. But you know, kinda, I don't know, maybe I'm kinda romantic in this kind, but I think that aliens do exist. But I don't think we can reach them.
You're not the only one who thinks that. Some of the most famous astronomers alive today also think that.
It's like, you know, the space is so vast. It just can't be so that we are the only planet blessed with life.
Hello, John Eric.
It doesn't make sense. I don't know.
Who said hello? Was that?
That's Frank.
Hello, Frank. How are you?
Good, I'm pretty good. How about you?
I'm okay.
All right, nice to hear that.
What do you think about Igor's idea, Frank?
About what?
Igor's idea.
Well, I didn't listen to him because I just got in.
Oh, I know. You got to come earlier, Frank.
I'm sorry. I'm at work, that's why.
Igor, could you just say that again for Frank, the last part, and let's get some opinions about your idea, because you're not the only one who has that idea.
Okay, I think that the life in the universe exists, of course, besides Earth, like somewhere there in the stars, but I don't think we can reach them, and I don't think they can reach us either.
Because of the distance involved.
Yeah.
Okay. So Frank, what do you think about that idea? Because today we're talking about how wrong science can be. I have a few articles, 2 short articles, about the other times we thought we found life and how wrong, but at the same time, it's interesting to see the kind of thinking they were doing at the time. So
Well,
Igor, go ahead, yes.
yeah, well, I think there's like 50% that the NASA tells the truth, and there's 50% well then were they like hiding things, like they don't tell the truth? So I don't know. Basically, I was reading a book about they were like alive before in Mars,
They lied about what?
and then I mean the planets of Mars, right?
Hmm.
They
Well,
used to
yeah.
they used to be live before over there. So
Oh, there used to be life before. Oh, I
yeah,
didn't
live.
understand. Life. Okay.
Yeah. So but I basically trust like 50% of what scientists say about the planet's Earth, about outside of the planet, about the moon, about the world.
Hmm.
So um,
And go ahead. Yeah.
yeah, so that's what I'm basically think about. That's my opinion and my thoughts.
So, in other words, you think they're not telling us the whole story. Is
Yeah,
that right?
just like probably like 50%.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
scary.
that's you know.
That's scary, Frank.
Yeah.
Why would they lie to us? Shadow, what do you think? We're still talking about Igor's first idea, but now let's add Frank's idea that maybe the establishment knows more than it's saying.
Like, let me see. I got an opinion. We went to the moon when what year? In 1963, right?
No, 1969.
All right, 1969. Why we never went back to the moon again?
Because it costs too much.
But in that time where they were like less money and they were like less
Less
technology,
money? But do
and
you think so?
they were less technology. Now we have more technology.
Yeah, but they have less money then because it was all of that all of that money after the Second World War. You know, when we had the Marshall Plan and we went in there, we mean the United States, I'm American, and we had kind of control over Europe. And you know, after the 70s and the oil crisis and all those crises that happened in the 70s, and then all of the problems, you know, more recently with world wars. I mean, with the invasions. I mean, I wonder. We've got what $18 trillion of debt now. So I
Yeah,
wonder, you know, and it's not just about the money, it's also about the culture. We don't seem to have the culture that wants to do crazy things like that. Also, one last point, there was an arms race, right? There was the Soviet Union in an arms race, so we had to show the world that we were more technologically advanced,
yeah, true.
you know?
Yeah,
And then 9/11 came, and there you go. People were able to do something catastrophic with very little resources. You know, they didn't need nuclear weapons; they just needed an airplane. It's a very
yeah.
different kinds of arms race. So I don't know, but let's get some other opinions from the class too.
All right.
So Shadow, Daniel, and of course Tony. So what do you think of when you think of life in the universe? Do you think it exists? Do you think it looks like us? Do you agree with Igor that it's just there, but it's too far away for us to ever have contact? What do you think?
I agree with Igor. I think it's the universe. It's too big. Mm, it it must to exist life.
Life must exist.
Like
I'm just correcting your English. Life must exist, not
Must.
there.
okay,
Life
life
must
must
exist.
exist. Okay,
Life must exist out there.
yes, for sure.
Hmm.
But is it maybe is it too far from us?
Well, that's a really good point because one of the articles we're going to read, back in the mid 19th century, the scientists, they didn't really have scientists back then, but whatever he was had a very similar idea, and he had a very interesting solution for it. Uh, okay, so let's move on here from the warm-up. I've got some pictures there, and my question is, what do these works of fiction tell us about our hopes and fears for finding it? It refers to life in the universe. We got 3 pictures there.
Well, that's a good thing.
Let's all read one caption so you know where the pictures come from. Shadow, can you read the first caption for us for picture number 1? So that I know you're there?
Yeah, but where is it, teacher?
On the screen, or if you open the document, it's on page 4, right under the pictures.
Oh,
So
yeah. This is
read the first one for us, please.
George Millis, a trip to the moon, 1901, was inspired by I don't know, is it Spanish or English?
Jules? It's French. Jules?
Okay, Jules Verne. I don't know. Okay, novels from the Earth to the moon and around the moon.
So that first image on the far left, can you see what that is? What does it look like, Shadow?
It's like there's a moon and he's crying because someone shot him in his eye.
Yeah, that thing that they shot. Remember, that's a movie from 1901, the very beginning of cinema. Actually, that's six years after the invention of modern cinema. 6 years. So this is kind of the first really big film, entertainment style film that was ever made. And that thing shot out in the face of the moon's eyes is the first rocket ship. You know, what we imagine it looked like. And you can see the man in the moon crying. Tony, could you read the second caption about the middle picture?
John.
Yes.
I am very tired now.
Okay.
I am all night out in one chat room, but
you don't
I
have
want
to read.
say you I don't like this type these films. The science fiction I don't like. It don't interest in me. I don't have any culture about the famous films of the history of the cinema, but I don't like these films.
Well, we're not going to talk about the films, but we are going to talk about the culture, not the films itself, but what these films tell us about our curiosity as a culture.
All right.
So Tony, could you read the second caption where it says number 2 in the middle there? Can you see that? Hello? Tony, are you there? Okay, I don't hear Tony.
Probably doesn't want to talk.
I don't know. Okay. Okay. So, why don't you take it away, Frank? Could you read the second caption for us?
Of course. The most famous, or let me see. Wait, I cannot see very well.
You should.
The most famous or infamous adaptation of H.G. Wells' The War of the Worlds is the 1938 radio broadcast that was narrated. I cannot see the rest.
You should open this in your screen if you can. So.
Wait 1 second. I cannot see it because I'm on my cell phone, so I cannot really see it.
Ah.
I'm using my cell phone, so that's why maybe.
All right, no problem.
All right. Sorry.
No problem. Daniel, could you read the second one for us?
Yes.
By the way, also, Frankie, the pronunciation of the second word is infamous. Infamous. Just so you know.
All right. Thanks.
Okay. Daniel, can you read the second one for us?
The most famous or infamous adaptation of H.G.
Not infamous, but infamous.
Infamous.
That's
famous or infamous adaptation of H.G. Wells' The War of the Worlds is the 1938 radio broadcast that was narrated and directed by Orson Welles. The first 2/3 of the 60-minute broadcast were presented as a news bulletin and led to outrage and panic by some listeners who had believed the events described in the program were real.
All right, we'll talk about that in just a minute. By the way, that was remade into a movie by Steven Spielberg about
Yeah.
5 or 6 years ago. Not a great movie.
No, it's a girl.
He
It's
look
a
like
girl
he look like
screaming all
Presley.
time.
What's that? It's a what?
I say he looked like Elvis Presley. This
He
guy.
looks like Elvis Presley, but he
Yeah.
was 20 years before Elvis Presley.
All right.
Actually, even before. We'll talk about the radio broadcast in just a second because it's a funny story. And Igor, could you read the last caption there on the page?
Forbidden Planet, 1956, is the very first science fiction film. See entirely on another world in interstellar space, far away from the planet Earth.
And I don't know if you ever saw that one, but that's an early one with Leslie Nielsen, who was famous for those Naked Gun movies, those really stupid comedies.
Come on, if we are talking about this kind of films, it's just a blasphemy not to mention Star Trek.
This Star Trek would not even have been possible without Forbidden Planet, and the special effects were pretty funny too. So the reason we're looking at this is not to talk about the films, but to talk about our ideas about life on the universe. First, that radio broadcast. Do you know the story about the H.G. Wells radio broadcast? Do you know what happened?
No.
No, I've never even heard about it.
If I remember right, it was on Halloween, and he said that New Jersey, the state, had been invaded by aliens. Right? And people had just gotten radios. Radio was a new invention. Guess what happened? Everyone believed him because he presented it like it was the evening news. And there was panic in the street.
What about people in New Jersey?
When was that? When was that?
1938, just before the war. So people were probably already a bit panicky. And I remember a guy that I knew.
I repeat. Can somebody listen to me, please?
Go for it, Tony. What's up?
I have problems with the video chat.
Yeah, but
Is my computer is full.
So how can I help you? Can I help you in some way? Because I can't really help with technical things. but I can give you advice if you need it. Look, just do this, Tony. If you have trouble, the best you can do is just restart the browser and come back in, because it happens to everyone. Okay?
Hello?
All right. So, Tony, if there's any problems, just send me a message in the chat window and I'll try to help. So the people in New Jersey were probably pretty confused. So the question I'm asking here really is this, the last one. What do these works of fiction say about science? What do they say about progress? What do they say about our ideas about what life is out there? Do you think, what do they say about what we're afraid of and what we hope to find?
Well, what I think is that science is everything we see on movie, films, is like some type of sketch. That's how you call it, like some type of picture. They try to picture something about life. Any films that you see, it's like they trying to give you some picture to see.
What picture you mean imagine? They're trying to imagine.
Yeah, some type. Yeah. So, which they trying to make you see something based on fiction. I don't know how to explain it, but let me see. I don't know how to explain it, but you know, every movie that you see, there is something behind it. Like let's say if you see a movie, they take something from the movie and they apply it to the real life. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a message.
Yeah, so there's always a message from movie films, but I'm trying to say another different things, but I don't know how to explain it.
Well, try to give an example. Talk about a movie. I mean, I've got 3 examples here to look at 3 ways that life was depicted
All right, let
in 1901, 1938, and in 1956. So, you know, I I know that you haven't seen all of these films. Some of them are quite famous, but
huh?
I can tell you, in 1901, everyone gets into a rocket and they're sent off like a slingshot. They land on the moon and they see creatures that look kind of like monkeys in a
Yeah,
jungle.
that's what I'm trying to say to you.
What is that?
Like like let's say if you watch a movie
Hmm.
where they trying to show you like let's say Jesus Christ, just that's how you pronounce it, right? Jesus Christ movie. They trying to show you that Jesus exists during
Hmm.
that past time. So that's what I mean. Like they trying to show you some type of image. Man, I don't know how to explain it, but
Sounds clear to me. Yeah, absolutely.
uh,
Well, in the first one, the aliens look kind of like monkeys. They're jumping around. It kind of reminds me of what people were exploring, Western world was exploring, Africa and the Amazon for the first time. So we were discovering, it kind of reminds me of that. In the second one, the aliens are these machine-like creatures. And in the last one, we go to another planet and the aliens are this sort of force. It's this strange thing they can't even understand what it is. It's like invisible. So we've got 3 different ideas. What what do they all have in common? How do you think that we would? What do we imagine life to be like today? Do we have the same idea as then? Does this tell us anything?
we have more. We have more idea than before,
We have more ideas than before.
of course.
Igor, do you
Yeah.
think? What do you think? Do you think that it shows that they were naive, that they were scared? Do we still feel that way today?
Well, I don't think they were scared. I don't think they were naive. They were just trying to make money with something,
True, that's true, that's true.
that would interest people. So they cooked up these stories about
Propaganda.
intelligent life on other planets or something like that, and people just bought it. And I think it was kind of inevitable. Like when you have self-awareness, you discover the cosmos, the universe. It's just natural that the question will arise: Are we alone, or something like that? And they just played on this natural curiosity of humans. So I don't see anything really.
But in
So,
all 3 cases, the aliens are hostile.
well,
In one
I
of
think
them, they
I
come and
think
attack us.
yeah, I think they're hostile, because people like to watch something that is, spicy at least, or something when there is action. So I think it's not really a good idea to create a romance movie or a drama movie with an alien. I don't think people would buy it. So maybe they
Well,
were hostile just to add some more action.
could
So
be, could be.
maybe it's
Although
like
E.T. was a cute alien. Remember the 1982 Steven Spielberg E.T.? He was kind of cute.
yeah, well, it was kind of
I,
the expansion of the idea. They tried to introduce this idea for the first time, so it was like the beginning of this alien theme in the movies. So then they decided that it was kind of old
Uh-huh.
to show aliens as hostile species that would just kill us all outright. So they made some kind of another alien movie, but it's
So
still
they had
just
a new strategy.
yeah. So it's only our assumptions, I think. Nobody really knows what would happen when they encounter, or even if we ever encounter any alien species.
I think that we've already encountered them and they're running the government. That's my feeling. It's just an
I
idea.
think, in my own opinion, Eric, we have, you know how many planets we have around the Earth? I
In the
believe we have
solar
more than,
system?
yeah, I believe that we have more than millions, right? So I believe there's more than aliens life. I believe there's like more other type of life, living species around the Earth, which we don't know yet. So there's
Let's
a
fi-
lot of things.
let's find out about a guy who had a very similar idea
May I add
a long
something
time
really
ago.
quick?
Yeah,
Go
go
ahead.
for it.
It's like, talking about hostilities with aliens, but it's kind of, cooked up, really cooked up, because it's really costly to wage war even on Earth. So
That's
that's
true.
probably, keeps off the world for free, because it's a lot of money would be involved to produce the nukes and something like that. But
But
imagine just waging
I,
war in the galaxy.
but I hear that aliens have really good credit, so
Some of them.
maybe it's not a big deal for them.
Some
No
of them.
one, I think if they, it's like put you on in their shoes. Like you're a spacefaring species,
Hmm.
you're all powerful, and you just stumble upon Earth, and you see those people who are just stuck on this planet that they would not look significant to you. It would look like we look at, I don't know, monkeys or something like that. They would, I don't know, I don't see any reason to wipe us out for them.
We taste great, Igor. We are yummy.
Yeah, and before that they had no real, thing to eat.
I think that's what it is. We're just very good. If you barbecue us, we're really crispy. Well, we're going to do a little reading. This is a short article about a guy who had a very similar idea to what you were saying, Frankie. He thought that there was a good reason to believe that there was life, and he thought he knew how to find out how much life there was. In fact, he thought there were 22 trillion aliens in our solar system. That is to say, 8 planets, 22 trillion aliens. So we're going to take a paragraph, and then I'm going to ask you a few questions as we go along. If there's anything unclear, ask me as we read. Daniel, want to start us off?
Okay.
Go for it.
In 1837, the Scottish scientist Thomas Dick had a big idea, a really, really big idea. Build a huge triangle or triangle or ellipsis of many miles in extent in Siberia or any other country. He figured that because there are some 22 trillion aliens living in our solar system, 4.2 billion of which are on the moon, even if they don't have telescope technology to spy the triangle,
Triangle, right?
triangle,
Triangle.
surely some could have eyes powerful enough to see it uh, unaided,
Unaided.
unaided, unaided. Perhaps, realizing just what a big idea this was, he added schemes far more foolish and preposterous than the above have been
Contrived.
contrived
Uh-huh.
and acted upon in every age of the world.
So remember, this is from the 19th century. The English you're going to read is a little different than today.
Yeah.
But let's paraphrase that last sentence. Schemes, same as today, schemes. Things that, right. Schemes far more foolish have been contrived. Contrived means to be thought up or created. Schemes far more foolish than this have been contrived in every age of the world. So, Daniel, why do you think he said that last line? What do you think he was worried that people would think? What do you think, Daniel? Why did
I
he
don't, I
have
don't,
that disclaimer?
this last this last sentence is too
Okay,
difficult to understand.
what scheme is he referring to? Let's start there. Is he referring to his scheme or another scheme? Is that part clear?
No.
He's referring to his own scheme. What was his scheme?
Scheme, yes.
What was his scheme, Daniel? To build what?
We are wrapped on skin. Wrapped. It's a
No. Hold on a second. Scheme is like a plan. What was the plan that he was suggesting? Scheme is the same as
to build a huge triangle.
Yeah. So he says plans like this, crazy plans like this, have been thought of in every single major age of the entire world, throughout history. In other words, what did he want people to think about his idea?
To build huge triangles around the world.
There were colonies.
There were colonies? You lost me. Wait. Well, hang on a second. Before we jump ahead, what did he want, class, all of you, what did he want people to think? Why would he say that last line? What was he worried about?
Scheme
he was worried about, like, people would think that his idea was kind of stupid.
Exactly.
Not good to act upon. But he would just said that crazier things were done, so don't look at me like this.
Exactly. He thought everyone was going to think he was crazy because it's going to take quite a lot of effort to build a giant triangle in Siberia. But he's trying to say that crazy ideas like this have been suggested throughout history. Igor, why don't you continue? Second paragraph.
Here's what Dick figured. At the time, there were an average of 280 people per square mile in England. And because he thought every surface of our universe bears life, it would naturally occur at roughly the same population density. So from comets and asteroids to the rings of Saturn. If you knew how big something was, you could guess how many beings live there. Thus, Jupiter would be the most populated object in the solar system, with 7 trillion beings. The least populated would be Vesta, the second largest asteroid in the asteroid belt, tallying just 64 million.
Tallying means, do you know what that word means?
Recording.
Yeah, or even counting. If you tally it up, you add it up, to count, to add.
This word This word is used a lot in sports games, like
right,
somebody score a goal, like they say tally goal. So
tally
like
the score.
Would be put on the board.
How you pronounce that? Italian.
Tallying.
Italian, all right.
And Igor's right. You hear it with sports a lot, to tally the score. So, Igor, do you think Dick had some logic here in his idea about why there were 22 trillion aliens?
I think he thought his logic was the same as his surname suggested it would be.
It wasn't worth Dick? What do you mean?
He was
So he was using what was he using as his standard of measurement to decide how many aliens there were?
Just population of England.
The population of England, right. He assumed that the rest of the universe must be something like England, which makes sense.
It's really preposterous, as he said.
But 22 trillion, that's a lot.
That's a lot. But if you took the population of England at the time, and you assumed that every surface of every planet had the same amount of life, it's not such a bad calculation. Anyway, he was one of the first to even try to calculate it, so it's interesting.
So we're like berries on the trees or something like that.
Yeah. Well, you'll see he has a few flaws in his thinking here.
Yeah,
so
a few, yes, right.
Shadow, can you take the next two short paragraphs?
Yeah, sure. Dekisi was a very religious man, but also a very voracious scientist. One of the last of the so-called nature theologists who looked for signs of God's influence in nature. For Dick, simply didn't make sense for God to have created the cosmos,
Right.
just to have it sit around unoccupied. There must be creatures out there capable of enjoying its beauty, because God wants all his work appreciated.
So was Dick a scientist, Shadow?
He seems mixed.
Mixed. Yeah. Kind of a scientist, but also this thing, natural theologist. What do you think that means?
Natural theology.
Natural theologist.
It means like natural things, not natural theology. What is mean theology? I forgot what is that. What does that mean? Theology is.
Exactly. Class, what is a theologist? Let's find out together. Shadow, what would you say a theologist is?
Is it about a human being?
Not about human beings, because theo.
All right, got it. It's the study of religion, plain and simple. Of course, religion is not as simple, so theology covers a lot of subjects like ritual, divine being, the history of religion, and the concept of religion's truth.
There you go. When you see the word theo, and when you see that root, theo, it's related to the Latin word for God, just like in Spanish, a Dios, right?
Dios.
Right. So it's the same root, theo, dio, or
Okay.
right? So it always means related to God, related to religion. So a
All right.
theologist is a person who studies religion.
All right.
So Shadow, you're absolutely right. Kind of mixed, part scientist and part religious scholar. Keep going, Shadow. Next paragraph.
In his book Celestial Scenery. Well, I don't know how to read it. Celestial scenery?
That's absolutely right. Celestial means related to the sky, the heavens. Celestial.
Yes, scenery is like theme.
Scenery. Yeah, what you have around you. Like, look at the beautiful scenery out there in the country. So kind of like the view you have.
Okay. Which when it's in trampling is actually quite interesting. They write, this is a conclusion which is not merely probable, but absolutely certain, for the opposite opinion would drop the
Deity. Deity here is another way to say God. Deity.
Okay. Is it a polite word or?
That's just an older way of saying it.
Okay.
The deity with a capital D means God. Deity with a small d just means being, right? Something that exists, a living thing that exists. So,
all right, deity.
The deity with capital D means God.
Okay. Would drop the deity of the most distinguishing attribute of his nature by virtually denying him the perfection of infinite wisdom and intelligence.
So, in other words, Dick has some reason to think that there's alien life. So, Shadow, I know there's a lot of difficult vocabulary here, but what do you think Dick's reasons, as a theologist, what do you think Dick's reasons are for believing that there is life everywhere?
Because he believed that God will do these things like because he can't accept that this huge world without I mean some creature there.
Uh-huh. And specifically, he mentions beauty. So for a theologist, it doesn't make sense to have this world and, in fact, the entire universe existing with no one to appreciate it. He said it doesn't make any sense. So this is his reasoning. But what's interesting is that he tried to approach it in a way that we would call scientific. So this is just at the dawn of science, when people were starting to be systematic in their thinking and do experiments and things like that. Frankie, I guess the text is too small to read for you, right?
Let me see. Let me check.
If it's okay, then take the next
I
paragraph.
think it's okay.
Okay, go for it. Next one.
All right, let me see. Okay. The first one, right?
If you think, that one.
No, I cannot see it. Okay.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, I cannot see the whole thing.
Okay, no problem. So we'll just join us for the discussion in a moment because this is short.
All right.
Let's go back.
If you're using this smartphone, he can open the document from the page, verbal page.
Yep.
Let me see.
That's up to him.
I mean, maybe he doesn't know.
I should know.
All right. Anyway, if you can open it, no problem. In the meantime, let's just get this article done because it's actually quite short. Then in the next hour, we've got another one which is similar but different. Daniel, why don't you take that one? Let's go back to the beginning.
Okay. If you think waterfalls and sunsets here on Earth are neato.
Neato! That's like what you say when you're a kid. Cool! Awesome! Neato!
Neato. Okay. Dick promises you'll be floored by what you'd see on other planets. What should we think of a globe appearing in our nocturnal sky 1,300 times larger than the apparent size of the moon, and every hour assuming a different aspect? He asked. What should we think of a globe filling the 20th part of the sky and surrounded with immense rings in rapid motion, diffusing a radiance over the whole heavens? It's a lovely image, isn't it? There are also scenes we see realized in modern sci-fi from a brain that was thinking fully 2 centuries ago.
A brain that was ticking 2 centuries ago. In other words, a brain that was working. So even before we had these science fiction films and novels, there were people imagining images that we would expect to see in a science fiction film or novel. So what's the image that stays with you, Daniel, from this little paragraph? What is our friend Mr. Dick imagining here? What's the main image for you?
How huge is the universe?
Yeah. Like one of those images is, we can picture, he says, he's basically talking about Jupiter, I think. What should we think about a globe, that means a planet, filling the 20th part of the sky? Okay, he knew a bit about astronomy, so imagine, I guess it's, I don't know how they divided up the sky, but we can imagine it like on a horizon, surrounded with immense rings in rapid motion. So he's like, imagine being on another planet. Instead of seeing the moon, you see a huge Jupiter, spinning around or something like that. And that's the idea. Let's see. I'm going to do the next one.
You want me to read it?
It's really short. Oh yeah, if you got it, yeah, go for it.
All right. You might think that living on other worlds might be difficult, but they assured us they are arranged much like Earth, with mountains and valleys and such. Valleys and such. The moon in particular has an immense variety.
Wait a second.
Variety of elevation and depression. And while we cannot directly observe such feature on Jupiter, Saturn. How you pronounce that?
Saturn.
Saturn, or Uranus, given their distance. When light hit them, it revealed the spots and difference of the shade and color, which are sometimes distinguishable. I don't know, distinguishable
It's fine.
on their disk, thus betraying the uneven surface
Uneven.
underneath. We know today, of course, that these are all in fact gas giants.
So that last sentence, written in English from 1830 whatever,
States, of course.
is he saw the spots on Jupiter and other planets, and he's trying to say, oh, well, that must show us that even though there are clouds, underneath all of that, there must be mountains and valleys, and those spots show differences underneath. But he didn't know that there could be planets made only of gas. So it's all part of how they were trying to imagine other planets at the time. Let me just see. Yeah, okay, we're almost done. I'm going to read this one, and then we've got just two more, and then we'll talk about this a little bit, and we'll continue this to the next hour. God also provides atmospheres for other planetary bodies. This is what Dick is thinking. Quote, we have no reason to conclude that they are exactly similar to ours. Mars's atmosphere, for example, is denser than our own, bestowing the planet that lovely red hue. It's actually less dense. So he thought that the red hue meant that the atmosphere was thicker than ours, and actually it's less. Others may be so thin that they allow their inhabitants to, quote, penetrate farther into space than we can do, with the added bonus that such an atmosphere could raise their spirits to the highest pitch of ecstasy, similar to some of the effects produced on our own frame here means our bodies, on our own frame, by inhaling that gaseous fluid called the nitrous oxide.
Right.
Yes, he actually wrote that, complete with the superfluous the, like the way your grandpa says or decries the hip-hop and the reefers, the nitrous oxide. Have you ever been to the dentist and gotten nitrous oxide?
Where?
If you ever go to the dentist and they give you gas,
Yeah.
they used to give you nitrous oxide, which is also called laughing gas. Used to be. I don't think they do it anymore. So he's trying to say that on these other planets, because they have different altitudes, these beings will go to higher altitudes with different atmospheres, and he has this crazy idea that it's like breathing nitrous oxide.
This
I
guy,
really don't know
sorry,
why he thinks that.
this guy is kind of close-minded. He just gauges all the things with their known variable, like Earth. Like
Well,
he even
but he's using
applies those
he's using theological logic, though. He's thinking from a very, don't you think he's thinking from a very Earth point of view, a very
Well,
Earth-centric.
he thinks about like people would, will reach ecstasy just because their atmosphere is kind of like nitrous oxide. In this case, their people there would evolve differently, They would not be affected by this nitrous oxide the way we do, the way we are. So it's kind of, I don't know, it's foolish. It's really foolish.
Dick is silly.
The ancient times, that's more older. So they also, how you say, prognosticate how the universe were like how the universe was like.
Not prognosticate, but they foresaw. They foresaw or they predicted. Maybe it's more, yeah.
So even the calendar, they have their own calendar. They have their own idea. How the universe. I don't know how to explain it, but they lead
You mean
to
the Mayan the Mayan calendar, for example?
Yeah, and the ancient and Rome. I don't know how to say, but I'm talking about those old people from the past, like yeah, like the ancient times.
Hmm.
Yes.
So they were the Mayan calendar, the one that was supposed to end in 2012. Remember when everyone thought the world was going to
Yeah,
end
yeah,
a few
yeah.
years
True.
ago? Because the calendar was quite accurate. They were just really good at astronomy, and the calendar was very accurate. All the math involved, so it predicted things very well, like eclipses and things like that.
Yeah.
Um, well, we're almost finished, so let's finish this last paragraph, and then we'll go on to talk about it more in the next class than this one. Let's finish it up. So I think we're back to Shadow. I think you're next. Sorry, maybe I lost track. Is it Shadow? I think you're the next one, right?
Okay.
Go
There
for
is
it.
okay. There is though the rather glaring problem of the crushing gravity of a planet the size of Saturn. Patek posits, posits,
Posits, right?
posits that the density of Jupiter is little more than that of water, and that of Saturn about the density
Density.
density of Cork. Jupiter, therefore, would have a gravity only twice as great as Earth's, not so terrible in the grand scheme of things.
So he's trying to say that the gravity wouldn't be so great that we couldn't visit the planet. It wouldn't kill us if we were there. This is one of his other crazy ideas. Keep going, Shadow. Last paragraph.
For a bizarre of as all this may seem, notice how scientific Dick was about his theory. This was not mere daydreaming. He had numbers, and he had principles, and with them he formulated a widely wrong idea, but nevertheless pieced it together fairly logically. And he wasn't even the first scientist to argue that life existed elsewhere in our solar system. Far from it, it was
Far
not.
from it. It's an expression. In other words, he was really not the only person. Far from it. Really not the only person.
Far from it, it was none other than the famed astronomer William Herschel, who argued that not only was there life on every planet, but on the sun as well. Oh, this is interesting. that, that blinding glow we see is simply a luminous atmosphere,
Luminous.
a luminous atmosphere hiding a rocky surface that teemed with life. And
And
oddly enough,
yeah, go ahead.
it was Herschel's son John who indirectly eclipsed Dick in an epic way.
That means that if you think Dick was funny, wait till you see John, Herschel's son.
Oh,
Okay, we've got to stop here, but I'm going to continue the next hour with the story of Herschel's son, who had an equally zany idea. Again, it's a very short article. We'll read it in the first half, and then we'll spend the second half of the class discussing these ideas. Okay, so I'll be back in just 1 minute to begin that class, and we'll find out about how the famous astronomer William Herschel's son
By the way,
eclipsed our friend Dick. I got to start the next class. Sorry. So just come back and we'll get your question there. Okay? Be back in just a minute, everyone. Bye for now.